How to build a life and not just a resume. Obviously, for many of us, we have to work in order to live. And the game is to get a career that you love and that you can build over time. But it is not so important that you build a fabulous career with all of these great accolades as much as it is important that you have a life that you enjoy and that allows you to define what joy looks like for you. You know, there was a great song by Mary J. Blige that talked a little bit about living my best life, my best life. Every so often, you should ask yourself the question, what is living my best life? What does that look like? And you absolutely can integrate a great career and work life with your personal life. But yes, you must set boundaries. If you have a career that you absolutely love, like I've had on Wall Street for over 30 years, it can be all-encompassing, especially if it is a fast-paced, dynamic, highly competitive environment and career and industry. It will actually take more from you than you have to give. So it is your job to set those boundaries. The weekend, i.e., as it used to be defined as Saturday and Sunday, and now these days could be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, depending on whether or not you're working in a hybrid environment. You must set boundaries around those days that are not work days. If these are the days where you catch up on your household, you spend time with your family, you're doing those personal projects, then you must be dogged about keeping that time as personal time. And you have the ability to manage that. If you are a junior person, you can say to your boss, this weekend I'm competing in A, B, and C, and I'll be in super early on Monday, or I'll be in super early on Tuesday to be able to do that. Or I wanted to let you know that I was doing that this weekend in case you need me. I'm probably not going to have an opportunity to look at my phone until after 5 o'clock or between the hours of 5 and 7, and I'll be responsive at that point. Being proactive in your communication, even about your off time, since many organizations have started to encroach a bit on that personal time, it's up to you to keep those boundaries so that people will know when you respond. Perhaps your boss is not doing anything that weekend, and they feel like now is the time for them to catch up, and things that they wanted to say to you Monday or Wednesday or Thursday, they didn't have a chance to say them until now when they get some quiet time. That doesn't mean that you are required to answer. And if that's the case, again, you should be proactive on Thursday or Friday and say, is there anything that you think we're going to need on the weekend? Because I'm going to be fairly busy this weekend, and I want to make sure that if you need it somewhere in the weekend, that I'm working on it now, because I won't be able to be responsive. Now, the organization recognizes that you have a weekend and that you have personal time. And if they do not recognize that you have personal time, then you need to understand that as you take on that job or as you take on that role. But if the weekend is the weekend, but there are going to be some weekends where you may have to be responsive or that you may have to work, then you want to have open lines of communication and understand that going in, or understand that in that moment. Chances are it won't be that way all the time. It may be for finite periods of time, but don't leave the conversation unsaid. Make sure you ask the question. That's your power and your responsibility and your opportunity to make sure you're not blindsided or your personal time is not encroached upon every single weekend. Now let's talk about vacations. You must take your vacations. They are designed to give you the break that you need to rest, restore, and renew. Take your vacations. One of my wake-up calls is that one of my bosses said to me, Carla, we're 9 months into the year, and you have not taken any time off, and you get 4 weeks of vacation a year. Let me just tell you something. We're not going to pay you one dime more for the vacations that you did not take. And he walked away. I don't need to tell you, that was a cayenne pepper moment for me. It completely opened up my mind. And from that day to this one, I haven't left any vacation days on the books. Why? Because I learned to realize that when I had time away from that which I was responsible for doing, even if I was doing it very, very well, I came back and I did it even better because I'd had a break, because I'd rested. There's no question that the rest and the time away from your role will help you to see things differently. And perspective is valuable, but tired perspective is less than all day long. So you must take your breaks. Now, part of the trick in managing your career is taking those breaks at a time where you can minimize when you might be interrupted. 20 years ago, when I was in the middle of my career, people generally did not interrupt you while you were on vacation because we didn't have the modes of communication that we have today. There was no opportunity to text. It wasn't easy to call you out of the country. There were all kinds of places that you could go where you could not be engaged. But today, that's pretty much impossible. There's no place that you can go on the planet where there isn't some opportunity to be able to get you unless you're climbing a mountain somewhere. And even then, they can figure out a way for you to engage. So think about when you're going to take your vacations. Be strategic as much as you can. But if it's a family event and it happens to happen at a busy time, then prepare ahead of time, but take your break. Be able to define your boundaries. The organization and your boss will respect your boundaries, especially if you communicate ahead of time. That's the trick. That's the tool. Communicate in advance. And if you have one of those bosses that seems to forget, communicate often. Oh, it's 4 weeks before my family and I go to Disney World. Oh, it's 3 weeks before my family and I go to Disney World. It's 2 weeks before my family and I go to Disney World. And that would be the first 4 days of the vacation that I won't be able to respond until after 5 o'clock. And that's between 5 and 7 because we have these things already planned. And oh, by the way, I've given this assignment to this person to do. This person is fully briefed. Make sure that you completely cover yourself. Making sure that you have those breaks will enable you to have a long runway. They will prevent you from getting burnt out. It will also prevent you from resenting what you're doing every single day or resenting the people that you work with. It's going to be critical for your ability to continue to ascend in your organization and to manage the various challenges that you deal with on a daily basis, and especially those things that arise that you have no control over. Setting those boundaries, communicating early and often, and making sure that you take care of yourself physically and mentally is a critical set of things for you to do in order to maximize your success. Work and life can coexist, and they can coexist successfully as long as you create those boundaries and you own what you have defined with a measure of flexibility here and there. But don't fall too far over the spectrum when it comes to flexibility. Maintain some flexibility, but keep those boundaries strong. Go get them.